Welcome to Jobbed Out, the wrestling editorial that reminds you that sometimes the paper champ is actually the one everybody remembers. Today, in wrestling history, April 13th, 2000, probably the most important house show in ECW history from Indianapolis, Indiana. Little bit of backstory for you. Paul Heyman's ECW is at its absolute hottest while also being in financial turmoil. ECW on TNN had debuted 8 months prior but had the company absolutely hemorrhaging money. Many of ECW's performers started having paychecks bounce. Some hadn't been paid in months. ECW's top guy, world champion Mike Awesome, who had given up his dates in Japan to commit to the Philly brand, was now sinking with a family and a mortgage, and was several checks behind in payment. It's believed Mike Awesome took a two-pronged attack on this one. He called up his good friend Horace Hogan to get a hold of the right people at WCW in order to receive an offer. And he went to Paul Heyman demanding back pay and a raise with the WCW offer as his bargaining chip. Of course, ECW could never go after Awesome or WCW for tampering, as performers in ECW were on per-date agreements. The company just wasn't big enough to offer long-term contracts to anybody. And Heyman, according to some, just gave his blessing to Awesome, thinking that Mike was not actually gonna jump. But he did. And on the day that he did, ECW both filed a court injunction and sent police to prevent Mike Awesome from appearing on Monday Nitro with their property. Lance Storm has gone on record saying that Awesome was offered a newer, better deal by Paul, but Mike refused until he was given his outstanding wages. Since Paul didn't pay, Awesome signed a $700,000 contract with WCW that included bonuses that took it up to about $1 million. There, that's the backstory. Now to the day in question, April 13th. An arrangement is made where Mike Awesome would invade ECW's show, accompanied by WCW security for his protection, just in case somebody from ECW decided to take liberties. For his own safety and protection, he was hoping that he would be facing his good friend Rhino, but what he got was a much, much bigger surprise. You are not seeing things. The ECW World Championship was going to be defended at a house show between a WCW wrestler and WWE's Tazz.
Does the WWF even know about this?
Since tensions were high and the spectacle itself was rather short, we had a ref bump, a bit of interference, and a quick tap out before Awesome retreated back to WCW where, well...
Oh, look at this. Mike Awesome and Nitro Girl beef.
Sponge bath.
Also, Mike Awesome was sort of a pro wrestling pariah for a while. He was seen as a backstabber, a traitor. He had sold out, and honestly, I think that's completely unjustified. I mean, if your employer stops paying you, you look for work elsewhere, don't you? The dude had a family, he had a mortgage, he had bills to pay. I'm not loyal to any boss who isn't loyal to me. And if the paychecks are bouncing, then why the hell would I give them more work for free? Sadly, this stigma stuck with Mike Awesome all the way until his suicide in 2007, which really made this soundbite by Joey Styles age incredibly poorly.
Suicide died by Mike Awesome, and it's a shame he didn't succeed in taking his own life.
Tazz would end up wrestling Triple H on WWE programming as ECW's world champion, before losing his title to Tommy Dreamer, cementing his legacy as probably the most important paper champion in history. Oh, and like 5 minutes later, Tommy lost his title to Just Incredible. We don't mention that one because Tommy was perhaps the least important paper champion in history. Huh, neat. Little trivia for you here. That style of title change, where 3 people in a single night bouncing the title around, would be recreated at Money in the Bank in 2016, where Roman Reigns walked in as champion, had to drop the title as he was headed out for a while, in this case because of a wellness policy suspension. Seth Rollins, who beat Roman, would then lose the title in mere minutes to Dean Ambrose. And to tie it all together with this theme, here are Tazz's and Roman Reigns' themes side by side.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
now you can't unhear it. So there you have it. Probably the weirdest circumstance to have ever led every major pro wrestling company in North America to work together. A WWE performer defeated a WCW performer in an ECW event. And I want to ask you, what did you think? Do you feel Mike Awesome was a traitor even though he did return to do the favors and pass the title off that same week? Or was he right to look out for himself over the company? And should ECW have used the currently contracted wrestler instead of bringing in Tazz from the WWE? Let me know what you think in the comments. For now though, I better get my shoulders off the mat, so thank you for tuning in to Jobbed Out. See you next time.